Sharif has been captured by the Taliban. It was the government's last northern stronghold. The Taliban now control more than 2/3 of the country. You can see those areas in red. The yellow areas are still contested, and the small patch of blue is what remains in the hands of the Afghan government. The Taliban's rapid advance comes less than 3 weeks before the United States is set to withdraw its last troops and is raising fears of a full takeover by the insurgents. And for more on what's happening in Afghanistan, we are joined now by Omar Samad. He's a former senior advisor to the chief executive of Afghanistan and the former Afghan ambassador to Canada and France. Mr. Samad, thanks so much for joining us today. Their grip on Afghanistan at a frightening pace. Is the capital Kabul likely to fall, and what will that mean for the nation?
Yes, so I think this is what's called a blitzkrieg, a very fast progress towards cities, capturing cities one after the other, mostly without much fighting going on, either surrendering or fleeing, or deals being made between authorities and officials from governors and police chiefs and others. But your question about Kabul, it all depends on the decision that will be taken in Kabul by President Ashraf Ghani and his team of close advisors.
Il presidente scapperà ben presto.
The president is not still ready to step down in order to pave the way for an interim government, a transitional period in Afghanistan that will probably save Kabul from any types of attack. The Taliban don't seem to want to attack from what we hear. But if they are left with no other options, they might use other.
Hanno vinto, fatevene una ragione.
With almost no shooting going on, very little casualties. Kabul is going to be different, and there's also Jalalabad in the east that also is an issue right now.
Would you say that the abruptness of the U.S. withdrawal, started by Donald Trump, continued by U.S. President Joe Biden, contributed to the speed of the Afghan collapse to the Taliban that we're witnessing right now?
Well, some people would call it abruptness that has lasted 3.5 years. Others would call it a 20-year mission that went on for too long, could not accomplish all its goals. Made some gains. There were some positive things that happened in the past 20 years for the Afghan people. Overall, I think that we ended up with a corrupt.
Questa che vedete è Kabul. I talebani sono già entrati nelle periferie, sono a mezzo chilometro dal Palazzo Presidenziale. È un assedio in pratica, l'ultimo assedio. And they had support of course in the region as well. And now we are where we are after 20 years of a mission and 3 years after starting. Avete perso un'altra guerra, americani?
The vast majority of Afghans who are fleeing this conflict are
un altro
women and
Vietnam.
children. We're hearing talk of a humanitarian crisis. Can you describe to us the dangers that women and children in particular are facing?
Sì, quanti ne avete ammazzati voi?
I hope that we will not face a humanitarian crisis. I hope that on one hand, with 80-90% of the country now under Taliban, that they will treat Afghans humanely, that they will.
Gli afghani sono talebani al sud, sono pashtun. Al nord no, ma sono cavoli loro. Cavoli loro.
The international community needs to still be committed to Afghanistan, especially on the humanitarian side from now on. And I think that this is an opportunity to see how Afghans can re-own their own country.
Certo, dopo che gliel'avete distrutto.
To the extent that they can.
Bravi.
The international community can assist as well. For that to happen,
adesso lasciateli in pace.